Let's talk about sense of humor in your relationship. I just had a question from someone who had watched a video I made about how damaging sarcasm can be to emotional safety in your relationship. And when emotional safety is compromised, it's impossible to share a space of heartfelt intimacy with your partner. And she posed this question in the comments, which I love getting questions in the comments. How do you believe open communication about humor styles can positively impact the depth of connection between partners? This is a great question, and it gives me an opportunity to talk about some really subtle nuances. So, of course, humor is really important in relationship because if you can't laugh together, that's a drag. The language here is very interesting. Humor styles. So when I think about open communication about humor styles, I think about a situation where there may have been a difference in humor, where maybe I said something or my partner said something, my partner cracked a joke and I didn't find it funny. And it kind of created a little wrinkle in time, shall we say. And so if I were experiencing that kind of a difference in humor, and then what happened next was a conversation about humor styles, what that's registering as in my senses, the way that I'm hearing that language, is let's have a conversation about humor in general and how I make jokes so that you can better digest my jokes when I make them. And if that's true, if an open communication about humor styles would be a conversation in general, there's a problem with that, because anytime that we make generalities that we want our partner to better digest about things about us in general, we're making rules in our relationship. And rules are the walls of boxes, and boxes cramp freedom. And when the freedom to be is lost, then the spirit of joy in the relationship is muffled and gradually goes out like a snuffed out flame. On the other hand, if there was a difference in humor in a moment and we were to talk about just that moment and share more about our sense of humor, to try to open up our sense of humor so that our partner can understand our perspective of why we found something funny, and we're just talking about that specific instance, then we're actually communicating in a way to come together with deeper understanding and like untangle the knots of misunderstanding. It's not a rule if you're only talking about that one specific instance. So that's hugely important. Now, there is something in general to consider about humor, and it's so subtle and has to be treated really gently. And that is that people talk for many different reasons. They crack jokes for many different reasons. And the reasons get read in the energy. So, for example, someone could crack a joke because they want attention, they're looking for approval, they're trying to get extra points. They could crack a joke because, like the sarcasm, it's a passive aggressive, like dart throwing event. And they could crack a joke because they're nervous and they're trying to distract from the discomfort that they feel underneath the surface. Or it could be actually a genuine moment of inspiration, of humor, something that's genuinely funny, and they're just flowing with the humor of it and expressing that out loud. So what I like to do in relationship is try to, if I feel my partner, if I'm feeling my partner express humor from an energy that feels like any of the first three, performance or that passive aggression or that nervous distraction, I want to ask a question about how they're feeling to get underneath the surface so that I can unravel the uncomfortable energy that's coming my way, not because it makes me uncomfortable, but because I value authenticity and freedom. So I want my partner to feel free inside himself. So I would ask a question to get to the bottom of why he's not feeling free in that moment so that I could help him find freedom in himself to just be. So as that quality of communication has time to work out the kinks, because we're human, we all come to the scene with kinks, right? And we're going to have kinks and knots to sort out probably for the rest of our lives, and that's totally fine. That's part of the human journey of how we grow towards understanding more fully how to express as love. But the more time that we have to treat that gently and to go through that process and comb out those kinks, the more humor actually becomes an expression of freedom and feeling what feels funny in the now, free from the rules of generalizations, free from feelings of performance, free from that passive aggressive sarcasm, and free from nervous distraction. We both together hopefully can support each other in becoming clearer and more centered in just being together without feeling self-conscious or feeling all those other kinds of, blocks or challenges to just being. It's the beauty of just being together. When people are just being together, the humor that comes out of that is genuinely like something funny that somebody saw in the now. And I remember a boyfriend I had a long time ago. He had a habit of making really kind of bad jokes trying to get attention. And I was gently giving him a little bit of feedback about that and the difference between, it's not like you don't want to get down on people because then that just makes things heavy. But when you have an opportunity to kind of open things up. So I take the opportunities to kind of open things up with him. And he used to say, he would call it a joke of the moment, or he'd be like, yeah, that was not a joke of the moment. So he could feel the difference between the freedom of being in the now and when humor comes from that place versus when humor is expressing a kind of contortion of challenge in the human experience. And the last thing I want to say that came up when I read this question is identification as an excuse to carry out less than loving behavior. So sometimes what happens is we want our partner to accept ourselves or accept us for a way that we do things. And if we're having that conversation, it's because we got some flack for the way we do things. Now, it's important, control can happen on one side or the other. So I'm going to simplify this equation. If there's something that we like to do, and we haven't really looked at why we like to do it, but that behavior is less than loving, for instance, sarcasm, that's pretty obvious. Sarcasm is a type of sense of humor that has a bite to it. It's less than loving behavior. At the foundation of the principles that lead to heartfelt connection in relationship is an interconnection with love and a commitment to strive to embody love as the motivation for your behavior in every moment. We set that goal not with the perfectionistic slave driving attitude that if we don't achieve it, that we're bad. It's not about that, but you have to set the goal in order to create the contrast inside your own discernment to be like, oh, okay, in this moment, I didn't meet my goal of behaving as an embodiment of love. Why not? If we don't set the goal, then we don't have that question to ask ourselves to root through the blocks and the things that are dragging us down in our subconscious. So it's essential that if we want to experience heartfelt connection in our relationship, that we set this goal that we will develop an interconnection with divine love energy in the center of our being. This is not about human emotion love. This is about this energy of love that we can all connect to in the center of our being. And that we will seek to align ourselves with that love energy as the motivation for our actions. So if that's our goal, then if we have a moment when we make a joke because we're performing to get attention, it's easy to sort that out. If both people are on the same page with this alignment with love as the basis for how they want to move through their life and also how they want to approach the relationship, then it's easy to sort out. Oh, in that moment, I wasn't feeling connected with love inside myself, and I defaulted to patterns of wanting to get attention because I wasn't feeling that great inside myself. Or nervous distraction. In that moment, I wasn't feeling a connection to love again, and I got a little scared that maybe I was unlovable. And so I felt like I needed to create a distraction. So these are very broad stroke discernments of these categories. We would want to actually really be with the energy to discern each individual situation more specifically and more authentically, and not with such a broad brushstroke, but because I'm speaking in generalities in this moment, it's coming out that way. But I do see in general in the media, there's this, I mean, that's how I see it happening, is through media reporting. There's a bit of a wave at least in the United States, I don't know if it's in other countries as well, of identifying with behaviors that are not actually an expression of love. They're an expression of other colors of the personality, but identification is being justified. I can identify with this, and you should accept me for this identity because I made this behavior a part of my identity. Now you have to accept it. This is taking people out of that alignment with love and justifying it. And so that's something in our relationship, if we really want to experience heartfelt connection, that's something that we don't want to do. We don't want to defend behavior that is other than aligned with love and aligned with freedom in the now. Freedom, I guess I feel like I want to explain a little bit about that in this moment too. Freedom is not the freedom to do anything to satisfy any emotional whim. Freedom is the way it feels when you are aligned with love, because there's such a deep peace inside yourself. And freedom is also, in the interpersonal sense, it's the support of each other to do that which is inspired by love. So if I were in an intimate partnership with you, I wouldn't say, I need you to do these things for me because that's what makes me feel safe in relationship. No, I would say, I'm going to rely on my interconnection with love for my sense of safety. And I support you to do that which is aligned with love inside yourself. And I discern, or I ask questions if I feel like you are not aligned with love in your actions, so that I can support you to return to your alignment with love. And thirdly, if you're with a partner, if you have committed to alignment with love and you're with a partner who does not want to commit that way, it's not about changing people. It's about making the choice that makes sense for your highest goals. And if your goal is to embody love and to align with love, and your partner refuses to share that objective, it may not be the right partner. They're not a partner in love. They're a partner in something else. And that's another thing to discern. Anyway, I went on a few tangents from the original topic of humor styles, but I hope that that was illuminating. And I'd love to carry on the conversation. If there's any topic you would like to explore further, let me know in the comments or send me a DM and I'll do another video. Have a great day.